Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of my Reddit series where I read out Reddit posts based on diet and nutrition, and I give my 2 cents as a dietitian. So, as you know, I really love doing this series. I have been talking all day long. This morning, I caught up with one of my friends for a little coffee date and walk, and then also went to the gym. I was at the gym for hours and saw so many of my friends there and chatted way too much, but I love talking. And then I knew that I needed to record this podcast as well. And I was like, you know what? I honestly could talk the rest of the day. Like the past week or so, I have definitely been in a bit of a mood, but I'm on the up, and I know that I'm on the up because I actually feel like talking heaps. So yeah, I honestly, this is going to be a good episode because I'm feeling super chatty today. So I've got a lot to say. So shall we get started? So the title of this one is I Eat Well All Week and Still Blow It on Weekends. How do people manage this? So they've said, I eat pretty well during the week, but weekends completely derail me. Monday to Friday, I'm consistent, normal meals, decent portions, nothing crazy. Then the weekend hits and it feels like everything falls apart. More eating out, snacking, drinks, I'll start again Monday mentality. It's not even that I'm binging, it's just enough extra that it seems to undo the whole week. I keep wondering how people actually manage this long term. Do you plan weekends the same as weekdays, loosen rules on purpose, or is it just something everybody struggles with? Okay, so this is a really, really good post, and they haven't really mentioned what their goals are. So they've just said that what they do on weekends seems to undo the week, but it's like, what is it undoing? What is your actual goal here? So is it for weight loss? Is it just for maintenance? Or are you trying to eat healthier all round? What is it actually for? So if it is for weight loss, we know that being in a calorie deficit and energy balance needs to come into it. So this person may be eating in a calorie deficit weekdays, and then they're over consuming on the weekends, and that's enough to put them into calorie maintenance or a calorie surplus, where they're either just maintaining their weight or they're gaining weight. So it really depends what this person's goals are. So if they want to lose weight, they need to make sure that they overall in the week, it's a lot easier to look at it this way. In the week, make sure that we are in an overall calorie deficit. I would say for them, if they would like to be in a calorie deficit, they need to work out their calories and however much of a deficit they would like to be in. Then they can work out how much they need to have during the week so that they can enjoy on the weekends still. So say, for example, their calorie deficit is 1,500 calories a day. They could definitely consider having, say, 1,300 calories each day of the week, Monday to Friday. And then on the weekends, that's going to be an additional 1,000 calories that they can add on to their weekends. Overall, they are going to be in a calorie deficit. So that will work out for them. But otherwise, if they would like to maybe make some changes on the weekends, they could continue with having their set meals where they can. And they have said that they do more eating out and snacking and drinks on the weekend. And they basically are like, oh, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to send it on the weekends. But they could definitely alter some of their meals on the weekend. I am sure that no one would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner out on a weekend and then just binge on snacks in between. So I would say for this person, if they are just going out for a dinner on a Saturday night, they could still have their regular breakfast and lunch and have, their regular snacks like high protein, high dietary fiber snacks in between. And then they can enjoy their dinner out. It is likely that when it comes to dinner time, when they're going out, that they may eat a little bit less because they have had decent meals for breakfast and lunch, and they've also had snacks as well. So they might not feel like eating a huge portion by the time they go out to dinner. And as for the drink side of things, so we know that alcohol has calories in it. There certainly is some alcoholic drinks that don't have as many calories. So this person could consider swapping out what they're currently having and having lower calorie alcohol options. But otherwise, the recommendations for alcohol intake are no more than 4 standard drinks on any given day, and also no more than 10 standard drinks in any given week. So if this person is going out and they're having more than 4 standard drinks, it's actually not recommended. So I would say if they can keep within that, that definitely would be ideal for them. And what else have they said? They would like to know how to manage this long term. I think probably doing the second option and having regular meals as you would, and then just enjoying the meals that you are having out would be more sustainable in the long term, rather than being in more of a calorie deficit on weekdays and then sending it on the weekends. Because, unless this person does have a weight loss goal and they have a time frame, they could definitely say, okay, I'm going to commit to this for the next 12 weeks, and I'm going to be diligent with this until I reach my weight loss goal. And then they could consider changing over to the second option, because it definitely will be more sustainable for this person in the long term. So they do have a couple of options here. But I would prefer to just eat the way that I usually do and then just enjoy meals that I have out. So, shall we read some comments? The first person said, meal plan the weekends, same as any other day. Be honest with yourself. If you plan on drinking and having a 4th meal every Saturday, then maybe during the day you focus on extra lean ground chicken or turkey, salad, veggies, legumes, fruit, and non-fat yogurt. Interesting that they've given them exactly what to eat. The foods that they have mentioned are very lean foods, but it also depends how much they're eating as well. So this person could already be eating something similar, but it is definitely about portion control. So I do like that they've also mentioned to add in extra veggies as well and legumes, because there's a bit of extra dietary fiber in there, and this is going to keep this person a little bit fuller as well, so they're less likely to overeat when they are going out or if they are reaching for additional snacks as well. So I do like that advice that they've given. So somebody else has said, I used to struggle with the same thing, eating clean all week and then weekends completely undoing it. What helped me was planning weekends with some structure, but not being rigid, so still enjoy food without going overboard. I also started taking a nutrition supplement, which helps with feeling lighter after heavier meals and reduces that bloated, sluggish feeling. It doesn't fix overeating, but it makes recovery easier and keeps me from feeling like the whole week is wasted. Over time, it became more about consistency than perfection. I always say we need to be consistent instead of trying to aim for perfection. So I love that this person has said that. And it is interesting that they've also mentioned taking a supplement. So I'm not exactly sure what this supplement is, but they've said that it helps with that bloated, sluggish feeling. And if you are eating foods that are making you feel bloated and sluggish, and potentially eating a volume of that food that is making you feel that way, then I think you kind of know that maybe you are overdoing it, and you should have a look at that meal and say, you know what, I actually don't feel good after eating that. Like, is it worth it for me? And if you do happen to really enjoy it at the time that you're eating it, then that's okay. But honestly, like, if you're feeling sick afterwards, I'm not sure that it's worth it. I definitely used to do this as well, quite a lot. So this was a very, very long time ago, and I didn't quite eat the balanced meals that I do today, and I would overeat on particular foods. Like, say for example, I would like eating like smoked meat and things like that, which were very rich and very fatty as well, and I would feel awful afterwards, and I would eat large servings as well. And honestly, like, I do really like that kind of food, but now when I eat it, I would pair it with, say, a salad and maybe some sort of like carbohydrate. Nothing else additional that's really fatty, because otherwise I do feel quite sick, and I get really bad reflux when I do eat very fatty foods. So for me, it is not worth it. And I'm not sure what's in this supplement, but you shouldn't be having to take supplements with foods to make yourself feel better. I think it's time to reassess what you're actually eating. So this other person has said, I totally get where you're coming from. Weekends can definitely be a challenge, especially when you're trying to stick to a routine. Some people plan their weekends the same as weekdays, keeping meals balanced and mindful, but others loosen the rules a little bit on purpose, giving themselves more flexibility. It's all about finding a balance that works for you. A lot of people manage by focusing on small wins, like choosing healthier options when eating out, limiting snacks to a certain amount, or having a treat that feels satisfying without going overboard. It's normal to struggle with this, so don't be too hard on yourself. It's all about making consistent choices, even if they're small, and not letting one weekend derail all the progress you've made. You've got this. That was a very, very positive comment. So I really love that this person has provided some support, and they're like, you got this. And also talking about making consistent choices as well. I do also really like the idea of potentially choosing healthier options when they're going out as well. Sometimes I will say to my clients, if they are eating out very frequently and even like during the week, like maybe a few times, then I would say it's time to start looking at healthier options. Otherwise, if it's, just once a week or something like that, then I would say just enjoy the meal that you're having out. It's not going to make that much of a difference. So I have mentioned this before. So there is 21 meals in a week. If you are eating one meal out that's not perfectly balanced, that's okay. You still have those 20 other meals in the week that are going to keep you on track. So looking at it that way as well. So now every time that I go to make myself a meal, I have to have protein, carbs, and dietary fiber / micronutrients, which is veggies or fruit, and also some healthy fats. That is just the way that my brain works now, and it's about being mindful about what you're eating. So I do like their advice there. This Reddit thread was really, really good, and everybody was being very nice. So I really love that. I've come across another post, and it does have a video attached to it as well. So the title of this one is I Finally Don't Hate My Body. And they've said, even as a mental health professional, helping people with the mindset side of weight loss, it took me a long time and a lot of work to get here. Totally worth it. I move my body now out of love, care, and appreciation. I used to move my body to fix it or to burn calories or to hate it just a little bit less. But that never works for long. It always left me on edge, only conditionally accepting myself. So now I move for the joy. I push for the love of a challenge and the shared adventures with friends. I now know that my body was always a gift at every weight and size. My body has steadfastly propelled me through this beautiful life, and finally I love it back. I really, really like this post. So obviously she's not asking for advice. She's just posting something really positive for everybody else to see. And I'm just going to have a little looky at the video. Okay, so it's just multiple pictures of her. One was her flexing and one was her standing in front of a mirror and one is of her smiling. So very sweet, very sweet. So I'm going to talk about everything that she has mentioned here. So she did say that she is a mental health professional that works with people working on the mindset of weight loss. So I'm not sure exactly what her profession is. She may be a psychologist, she may be a counselor, she could be a doctor, who knows? So it is so interesting because even though you work in this particular area, it doesn't mean that you can always apply those principles to yourself. You definitely have the knowledge to do so, but actually applying that is a completely different story. So this definitely does happen with people in my profession as well. So just because you are a dietitian, it doesn't mean that you're always going to follow the sort of knowledge that you have. And some people may not want to as well. Some people may be content with doing what they're currently doing. And I think people often judge dietitians and say, oh, you should look a certain way because you're a dietitian. And something that people actually often say to me when I do say that I'm a dietitian is, oh, you look like a dietitian, or, oh, that makes sense based on my appearance. And I know a lot of dietitians don't look like me. Honestly, don't think that I particularly look like a dietitian. And yeah, it's just funny, isn't it? Like people will associate your profession with your appearance. And so she has also said that it's taken her a long time to get here and that it's worth it. And of course it's worth it. She has completely changed her life. She's completely changed her mindset. That is always going to be worth it. But she did say it's taken her a long time to get there. And I do always say to people, things don't happen overnight. And when people don't see changes within like a month or 2 months, they sometimes will feel like, oh, it's not worth it. But it is the long-term change that matters. And this could take some people years to get to this stage, especially if they have been in a certain mindset for a very long time. That is very hard to sort of undo. And it also depends on the issues that you have as well and how complex that is. And also how much work you're putting in. Are you seeking help from health professionals? Is that the right path for you as well? So I was talking to somebody the other day and I mentioned, oh, what do you think about seeing a counsellor for this? And she said, I have seen so many counsellors and I know what to do. And it's just the same thing over and over, and these strategies. She has taken all that she can from seeing counsellors, and it is now just up to her to implement those strategies. And she did quite a few other things like increasing her exercise, going for walks, things like that to clear her mind. But yeah, some people just really struggle to implement the strategies, and that is on them to feel ready to do that. So moving her body out of love, care, and appreciation rather than doing it just to burn calories. This is such a healthier mindset to have. And I'm sure that everybody has been through this at some point or another where they feel like they've eaten something and then they need to go on a big long walk or go to the gym because they're feeling guilty about eating that certain thing. But going to the gym or going for a walk can make you feel so good about yourself, and it doesn't have to be directly related to the food that you're eating. So I really love that she has come to this sort of realization and is feeling this way now. So she said that her body was a gift, and this is at every weight and size. And this is so important to remember because you should be appreciating your body at any stage in life. So say, for example, like a lot of women do say that they have a new appreciation for their body after they've gone through pregnancy and childbirth as well. And I definitely do believe that, because that is a huge thing to carry another human and also give birth to them. Like, that is just, women's bodies are amazing. And I think like looking at yourself and saying like, you know what, it actually doesn't matter what size I am still capable of doing things that I want to do. Like, say, for example, if you wanted to go and run like a half marathon, you could definitely do that if you put your mind to it. There definitely is not much holding you back based on your weight and size. So if you want to change your lifestyle, you want to change your diet and nutrition, you can definitely do that no matter what size you are. Like, it is not too late for you, and you can definitely make changes. It is all about your mindset and wanting to make a change as well. So I really like that she said that. And she has said that she finally loves her body. I think a lot of women go through life and resent their appearance, which is really sad. And I have definitely been through that before. And I can honestly say that I really did not like myself. I would always go to the gym and I would eat a certain way to improve my aesthetic appearance. And honestly, that made me feel worse about myself. Like, I honestly felt so terrible, and it definitely wasn't working. I think that mindset was just so bad for me. And I've shifted a lot. And I did come to a point in time where I was like, you know what? I actually really like myself. I really, really do. And that is so important, because how are you meant to move forward if you don't like yourself? Like, you're not going to do any good for yourself, really. So that is a huge, huge thing. You got to love yourself. And as cringy as that sounds, it is so true. And you know what I'm like. I am a very straightforward person, and I am not like woo-woo at all. So for me to say you need to love yourself, like, that's a big thing. But it is very, very true. You really do need to love yourself. So yeah, I really liked this post. It was very positive, and she's just putting it out there that she's doing something good for herself. And yeah, I like that. There was actually no comments on this one, unfortunately, which is kind of sad, but you know what? She's doing well. I really like that. So, final post that I'm going to be reading. This person has said that they need to go gluten-free. Due to health reasons, I need to be as gluten-free as possible. So drop your favorite gluten-free snacks and meals. So I'm not 100% sure what the health reason is for going gluten-free, but I really hope that this person has been diagnosed with celiac disease, and that is the only reason that you would need to go as gluten-free as possible / absolutely no trace of gluten. So celiac disease is an autoimmune disease where if you are consuming gluten, the microvilli in your small intestine are going to be affected, and they are going to actually atrophy when they come into contact with gluten. So it is a severe reaction that the microvilli have. And what happens to the microvilli is when they atrophy, their surface area decreases. So it is limiting absorption of other nutrients as well. So people that have celiac disease that are continuing to have gluten, they will continue to have atrophied microvilli, and they are at risk of malnutrition because they are unable to absorb nutrients that they are getting through their diet. So it is very important for people with celiac disease to go absolutely gluten-free, no traces of gluten. It takes some time for the small intestine to recover from exposure to gluten, and also dependent on how atrophied the microvilli are. So if it is severe atrophy, it can take years. Otherwise, if there is just a small exposure, then potentially it could be weeks for it to recover. Otherwise, some people with IBS may be sensitive to fructans, which are found in gluten-containing foods as well, so wheat. And that is very different to an autoimmune disease. Some people can tolerate small amounts, and then they are able to definitely have gluten in their diet. But I'm not 100% sure what this person's health condition is. Some people are also recommended to remove gluten from their diet by alternative medicine practitioners, and this potentially can be recommended for other health conditions. So one in particular is when people have thyroid disease, alternative practitioners will recommend to go on a completely gluten-free diet. And this is not evidence-based, but it seems to be something that is recommended quite often. So I would not recommend it because there is no evidence to support that it is going to make a difference to thyroid function when you do exclude gluten from your diet. I would also say it's not a particularly good idea to restrict a particular food group if it's not necessary, because even though there is a compound in that food, gluten, that you may think that you are intolerant to or may be impacting your health, it also comes along with a lot of other nutrients as well. So when we're looking at wheat, there is a lot of vitamins and minerals that come along with wheat as well. So if you are excluding that food, also, when we look at the macronutrient profile of wheat, it also contains carbohydrates and protein as well. So that's another thing. So I will get on with answering the question, the original question that she's asked. So dropping my favorite gluten-free snacks and meals. So when it comes to snacks, there are a lot of grains that are available that are gluten-free. So naturally, corn and rice are gluten-free, and there are a lot of products that you can get in snacky form that only contain corn and rice. So rice cakes, corn cakes or corn thins, and then also the little rice crackers as well, like sakatars. They're made just of rice. Then if we're looking at gluten-free alternatives, so there is so much out there these days for gluten-free products. So say, for example, you want Jats, there is a gluten-free version of Jats now. So lots of different crackers and ones that are mainly sort of seed-based as well. There is so many different brands out there. And you could definitely pair that with something like a dip. So we want to make sure that snacks always have a bit of dietary fiber and a bit of protein as well. Otherwise, if we are not such a fan of crackers and dips, we could look at having like a yogurt with a granola that is gluten-free, and it needs to be oat-free as well. So oats are actually not gluten-free in Australia, and it is a little bit confusing because in America, oats are classified as gluten-free, but in Australia, they're not. With oats, they have a particular protein in them that is quite similar to gluten. Some people with celiac disease may react to this. So if this person is just trying to have very small amounts of gluten, then they can definitely have oats. But if they are celiac, then it is not recommended. Other options would be just maybe some fruit with some yogurt, or what else could we do? We could do some dry chickpeas or dry roasted edamame beans with maybe a cup of veggie sticks as a snack. Okay, she has also asked about meals as well, so I might move on to that. So for meals, there are a lot of alternatives. So depending on what her preferences are, say if she really likes having pasta and Mexican dishes, maybe curries, things like that, she can just swap things out for gluten-free alternatives. So say, for example, pasta. The pasta sauce is just going to be, say, a meat base for the protein, and whatever sauce she chooses to have, she can go gluten-free with that. And then for the pasta, there is a lot of alternatives, which may be corn-based or otherwise alternative grains as well. So it's very easy to swap that out. And then for things like, if she likes Mexican, then corn-based tortillas are a good option because most of the white tortillas are made from wheat. So corn is naturally gluten-free. And then if we were looking at, say, curry and rice is a good option for a carbohydrate. And then curry, you would just have to make sure that you're reading the jar if you're using a curry paste and make sure it just doesn't have any gluten in there. Also, what other dishes? Like salads with protein. So we could be very basic with this and say, let's just make sure that we have a protein source. So it could be like chicken, beef, fish, things like tofu, beans, and pair it with some salad or some veggies. And then for the carbohydrate, we could do potatoes. We could do rice, brown rice, quinoa. There's so many options. Otherwise, Asian. I didn't mention Asian. Maybe for a stir-fry dish, could do like a rice noodle. So like a pad thai, but you would have to make sure that the sauce is gluten-free as well. And soy also contains gluten. So there is also an alternative to soy sauce. So tamari is generally gluten-free, but just make sure that you read the label as well. So there is so many options out there now. I feel like years ago, it was very difficult for people and you would just have to eat very basic foods. But now there is alternatives. If anybody is needing to go on a gluten-free diet, I would say just make sure that we are still having balanced meals and making sure that we're still including carbohydrates as well. You don't have to completely exclude carbohydrates. Let's see what everybody else's ideas are for this person. So, where's it gone? Okay, so this person has said, I live off rice cakes with almond butter and banana. Almond flour muffins are also my favorite. So I really hope that they're saying they live off these as snacks, not just that they have them as their whole diet, because that is definitely not balanced. But sounds great as a snack because they're having some carbohydrates. They're also having some healthy fats and dietary fiber from the almond butter, and of course a bit more micronutrients and dietary fiber from the banana as well. Somebody else has said, for meals, try gluten-free pasta with pesto, otherwise cauliflower rice stir fry, or rice paper wraps stuffed with veggies and protein. Snacks like trail mix, rice cakes with avocado, or gluten-free granola with yogurt work perfectly, and treats like dark chocolate or gluten-free brownies hit the spot too. Just remember to check labels closely since some sauces and processed foods can hide gluten, but it gets way easier once you find your go-tos. And the person has responded saying, my main concern is that it's going to be so difficult to eat gluten-free because it's in so much stuff. So I really like the ideas that this person has come up with. And I forgot about rice paper rolls. That's a really good one as well. They are definitely right. Checking labels is absolutely a must. And there is also a lot of apps as well that you can download, and you can enter in the food product, or you can scan the barcode as well, and it will come up and say if it is gluten containing or not. So that is very useful to find out about particular foods. Like, say, for example, if there is a preservative in something or something doesn't sound familiar, I would be scanning or entering that food product in and just double checking it with the app to see if it is okay to eat that one. So that was a really good one to go over. I do have a couple of friends that are celiac as well. So one in particular is one of my dietitian friends, and we always accommodate for her, of course, when we go out to dinner. So we're also eating gluten-free foods, and we find it quite easy to make sort of substitutions and alternatives when we go out. Sometimes she will get her own meal, and we'll do our own thing as well. But otherwise, when we go to a restaurant, you know, either we'll check the menu ahead of time, or she will call ahead of time to make sure that there is enough alternatives for her. We do notice when we go to some restaurants, the wait staff are very good and they will know the foods on the menu that are definitely gluten-free. Sometimes we have had interesting experiences with people mentioning that things are gluten-free and clearly they're not, or the food coming out with something that clearly is containing gluten that is on the plate. So yeah, it's very interesting. You definitely have to be diligent if you are completely avoiding any trace amounts of gluten as well. Something else as well. So if you are living in a house where other people are continuing to eat gluten as well, it is very important, if you are completely avoiding it, to make sure that you are not doing things like using the same chopping board, using the same toaster or toasty machine, and also wooden utensils as well. So it is very hard to make sure that you clean these very well. So there may be residue of gluten on there. Separate workspaces, like kitchen workspaces, is very important when there is gluten products in the house as well. So there's all of these little things. So my friend, the dietitian that is celiac, she has had a couple of instances where she has been exposed to gluten and she has been quite unwell. She is very diligent with this, and you definitely have to be if you are celiac, because there is long-term health consequences if you are not. So I've definitely come across cases where patients have developed intestinal cancers because they have not been following a gluten-free diet and they are celiac. It is an autoimmune disease. It's not going to go away. So if your small intestinal microvilli are constantly atrophied, it's not normal for these cells to be in this state. So they are diseased. They're a diseased cell in the body. They are at risk of mutating and developing into something like cancer. And there is a strong evidence base to show the association between celiac disease, non-compliance, and cancers. So if you have celiac disease, you really, really need to take it seriously. You cannot say, oh yeah, I'm good most of the time. I just put up with feeling sick if I do expose myself to gluten. But it is much more serious than that, because even though you might physically feel like you've recovered, your small intestine has not, and it takes time to recover. You don't want to be continuously damaging that microvilli. So, yeah. I hope that everybody found that interesting as well. Just a bit of information about celiac disease and gluten intolerance. So I hope everybody also liked the entire episode, and I will be in your ears next week. So bye guys.